guys. Welcome to the Man Up Club Presents podcast. I am your host, Celena Lena, aka Sis from Sis and Lil Bro. And for the Man Up Club, I am also the program coordinator. At the Man Up Club, our purpose is to make sure that young men are graduating high school, moving on to a college, or getting a trade after high school, and also keeping young men out of the prison pipeline. We are a mentor leadership organization in the Twin Cities, and we love what we do. We got a music program. We have a culinary arts program. We have a fitness program, a tutoring program, a gardening program, lawn care service job opportunity, as well as a construction job opportunity called Youth Build. We're doing a lot of different things. And the young men that we serve are between the ages of 13 and 24 years old. So if that's something that you would love to get involved in, we would love to welcome you. Make sure you go to themanupclub.org, themanupclub.org. Today's special episode is really nice because I have a friend here and his name is Randry. Okay, he is 24 years old, and the conversation is going to be about roots and rings. It's all about wrestling with identity. Okay, Randry, say what's up to the people.
What's good? What's good?
How do you feel?
I feel pretty good today, actually.
That's really good. So, today's episode, we're going to talk about his journey as a young immigrant man who is building community. He is a coach of many different athletic sports. He is a wrestling coach, he's a football coach, he's a track coach. Okay, he's raising a child and he's holding on to his cultural roots while learning what it means to be black in America. So, we have a lot to unpack. You know,
Sure
you
do.
are you are a black king, okay?
Guess it.
African king. Okay, so just a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? Like
Originally,
originally, yes,
I'm
originally.
from the motherland. Me and my family migrated from Burundi
Mm.
and been staying over in North Minneapolis for about the last 13, 15 years.
I've heard of Burundi before. I actually used to date somebody who has some family roots in Burundi.
hmm
But what's something that really stands out about that place for people who don't have a clue about it?
Nah, it's really small. It's kind of hidden, actually, next to one of the biggest countries in Burundi, right in the central east by Congo, Kenya, and all of them.
Mm.
But it's very old school. Everything is still very old, I'd like to say. But simple though. Life out there is very simple. It's not like the stressors that comes with living in the United States,
Mm.
but
Mm.
people definitely don't got it out there at all.
Oh, I had a plan. I had a plan for this first segment, but you just said something that I really want to talk about. So let's talk about it. How about that?
Okay.
You said that, it's life out there is really simple and it's not like life here because life here, there's typical stressors that people face. For example, I know exactly what you're talking about because I had an opportunity to go to Nairobi, Kenya.
Mhm.
Um, and it was the first time that I traveled outside of the United States, and I'm so blessed and grateful that it was to Africa.
Did you go?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I went. I was in Nairobi for like 2.5 weeks or something like that, maybe 2 weeks. It was for a missions trip, and I did some.
Did you pick up the Swahili?
Yes, I actually can say some Swahili.
Jumbo?
Yeah, Jambo,
Eh,
Mingini Selena, Nina Furaha, Kukutana na Wewe.
Yeah.
Like nice to
Yeah,
meet you.
okay. I
Okay.
bet.
Yeah, so like I spent some time out there, and it was for anyone who has never traveled outside of the country, you have to do that. Like it is a learning experience and those type of experiences in life it's a one-time thing, and if you ever have the opportunity to go, if you want to save up your money for a few years to go take a trip, like do it. Because it shows you that, you know, your culture and the bubble that you're in, that is literally not how everybody lives their life, and it's easy to get caught up in that mindset like, oh, everybody does life like this, oh, everybody looks at time like this, and then that's not true. Because what you just said, like for example, it's like when I went to Africa, when I went to Kenya, one of the things that I noticed was how joyful and happy the people were there, despite them not having like materialistic luxuries. Like I went to the slums of Nairobi, but also like there were other places too, like the mall. It looks just like the mall here. Okay, Africa
Hmm.
is literally not just a whole bunch of people living in poverty, like the commercials show us.
Yeah.
But anyways, like when I did go to the places where it was poor, materialistic wise, spiritually, I felt so surrounded by rich people. Like because they just treat you like I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but like you know what I'm talking about?
Hmm. Cause out there, I feel like I was just there in March for my brother's wedding. One of the main takeaways that I took away from people living there, people living here, was just people go through the same things out there. And here, there's a lot of individuals, people living for, you got your own family, I got my own family. That's how people live out here. It's like your neighbors don't, people aren't neighbors anymore, People are in their own bubbles out here. People got their own problems and they don't share, they don't congregate as much. But back home, as soon as the light was out, you heard people walking up and down the street, and it's not like we got windows out there. That's like here. The windows out there, since it's so humid and hot, they're kind of open.
Mm-hmm.
It's just sometimes it's just a screen, cause so the air could come through, and you hear people walking through. And as soon as people walk in through and they see you, they're saying what's up, and people are just outside doing things all day,
All
all
day
day.
walking
Hmm.
for miles.
Even if you don't got nothing else to do,
They just be outside.
they be outside.
You know, and the thing is like one of the things that I experienced when I went to Africa and then came back to America was reverse culture shock. And let me tell you something. I didn't know reverse culture shock was a thing, but it's like it's where you go to another culture and spend some time there and then you come back to the original culture and society that you come from
And you're like, yeah.
and you emotionally like fall apart or feel displaced or feel discombobulated because here's the thing like the time that I went, first of all, I went to Africa from Minnesota when it was January. So it was freezing cold when I left here, right? So I go to like, 90-degree weather, super, super hot, sun's out all the time. People are super welcoming. Like when I get there, like it's just warm welcomes. Like I go into the hotel, it's like, oh, good morning. Like, you know, I don't know. It just felt, it was just like, oh, welcome home. You know what I'm saying? And like, I had like I let like the kids they play with my hair and stuff like that and I just felt so at peace and then you know I go from this experience of like the kids they don't care about social media likes, they don't care about double tapping, they don't care about you know what I'm saying, like they don't care about making themselves up in front of the camera to impress people. They literally just play outside with each other and it's just about appreciating what's in front of them and then like over there they actually like value education because over there like not everybody gets access to free education, so it's like the kids that are over there like they really love school and like you can tell that they want to be at school.
Hmm.
And then it's like over here in America we have access to public school, but I've been a substitute teacher and even when I was going to school and I was still in grade school, like we threw them textbooks to the side. Like we was people being bad kids, people not they not
And
caring to
school is more
study
competitive out there, I feel like. Because once you're in it, it's,
in Africa.
yeah.
Yeah, once you're in it, like, there was so much sacrifice that went into you being there, because not everybody it's not normalized
Hmm.
for everybody to just have public school. Yeah, you got to go, you got to be there like here. But okay, let me get back to my point because I had like kind of went on a bunny trail, but it was worth saying. I experienced this reverse culture shock, and so I went from all that right
Hmm.
to coming back to the States, and I literally cried because I came back, and I rode the train back to my college, and I went from 90-degree weather to like freezing cold weather, and then I look around me in the public transportation train, and everybody's looking at their phones, ain't nobody saying hi to me, everybody's in their own world, and I just went back to class, and I literally broke down when I was in my apartment because I'm like, where's the people? Where's the love? Like,
One of the
where's
best things that I did when we went back, it was me and my brothers. We was up every single night till like 3, 4 a.m., knowing damn well that we got something to do the next morning.
hmm
Because we was there for my brother's wedding, so we had something to do every single day for like 5 days. and we were just up talking. And they don't got internet like we do out here. So we were struggling. It's not that we were struggling. We were cool not having our phones. Our phones was down. There wasn't that much access to internet, so we were just talking. And we had deep conversations that went back years of stuff we should have been said. It wasn't even just that. It was just more of like gratitude of not being distracted by phones. And for once, we were all like together in a spot, open, and our hearts was open, minds was open. We were just listening to each other talking, and it was just like, wow.
Hmm.
The moment we came back, people are back to their phones. Not just like us, just in general,
In general, right? That's the culture.
society and the culture out here is people are stuck in our phones, and out there, they're just stuck together.
Mm. You know, technology has robbed us of that. I think
Tremendously.
it's robbed us of like real human connection, and it comes with so much fakeness. And I had to take a step back. Like that trip really showed me, like, dang, like this is really what's important in life. Is it's everything that's physically in front of you is what's really important. Get back to the basics,
Hmm.
because social media had me just caring about things that's not even real. Like, oh, how many likes can I get on this photo? Like, bruh,
Yeah.
that is not what my life amounts up to. Is how many likes I can get, and it's hard because when society is like that around you, it's like, dang, like,
And it's also just nice seeing what other people are going through. That
mm,
way your problems seem a lot less important, or just you could tell you're not alone.
mm-hmm. This is the Man Up Club Presents podcast. We'll be right back. What's up, guys? We're back with Randry on the Man Up Club Presents podcast. Shout out to Holy Culture Radio on channel 140. Make sure you catch episodes every Thursday night. Okay. Okay, so let's get back to your story though. Your immigration story. First of all, how did you come to the US? What age were you? How did that even come about?
Um, my parents played this little lottery thing to win a chance to come to the United States with like green cards. So
What?
then we were living pretty well back home actually. Back home we had a nanny, a chauffeur, and um like a cook.
Really?
Yeah, and my parents had 10 kids. We all came My parents owned like how do I say this? It was like they traded it a lot, and they used to sell like the electrical stuff that goes into building houses.
Okay.
Yeah. And we were building our own house, and like big old mansion, multiple rooms. My parents finished it now.
Wow, congratulations to them.
Yeah, that's where my parents are living in right now, actually, in the
Wow.
motherland.
Mm.
But back then, yeah, we were living pretty well, I'd say. Never had to worry about food or nothing like that.
You were there until you were how old?
9.
Mm.
Hmm. And then when they won it, my parents decided to like basically sell everything to move the whole entire family all at once. Because usually, what people do is they'll move like the parent and a couple kids, mainly the youngest, and they'll move to America, work a little bit, and make some more, move the other ones, make some more, move the other ones. My parents just sold everything they had and moved the whole entire family all at once.
What do you think about that now, understanding life as a grown man? You think they made the wrong choice? Like,
Nah, no.
you got your own nanny, you got a chauffeur, you got a cook.
Hmm.
Y'all are living in a mansion, and they
Yeah,
sold everything to come to America with all their kids.
I mean, seeing life out there after I went back, a lot of people always say like, "Yeah, you guys were good. You guys were good." Like,
Y'all were more than good.
yeah, but now seeing the difference is, yeah, I would have been good, but I would have been in that situation still closed minded to the rest of the world.
Mm.
But like I was saying, when I went back, even though we had it out there, they looked at us as if we were better a little bit, but we lost everything after we were here.
Mm.
But going back though, they still looked at me just for being in America. as if I've made it. I have everything I have in life. Even though out here I'm like broke.
Mm.
I'm at the bottom of the pole in America, but to them, I'm even higher than I was when I did live there with all of those other stuff. So now I have like a whole new stance, you know.
At the bottom of the pole. At the bottom of the pole. And for you to say that as a black man in America, but you also have your African experience, like
Hmm.
the fact that you're saying that says a lot about America.
Can't help the truth. But that's not how I look at myself though,
Of
you know.
course, that's not how you look at yourself,
Yeah.
but I'm saying that's
It's
what
just
society is. That's the attitude
hmm
that society, that's the majority of what society looks at us as black people, and then even as black men, you as a black man, you know? In your eyes, like, where does that come from? Like,
it's
what
just
you think about American history?
if you look at it though, it's just experiences what people go through. At the end of the day, it's like me having to put my son into like daycare is a
Mhm.
lot different than most parents in the suburbs putting that kid into daycare. Because for me, yeah, I have a great family that helps out, that helps my that helps me with my child,
Mhm.
especially when I do need it. But I got my son in daycare, but to get him in at first was like it took me 2 years because I couldn't afford it at first, you know. And it's not that I can't afford it; it's just the programs that are there. It's not the same as the programs that are in the suburbs. I teach school in the suburbs now. I've seen the programs they have in those school districts, and then the school district I came from myself. I'm like, wow. Whereas half of that had my kids, my friends, myself, my family had half of those, you know, programs or at least help that these other kids have, we'd be far off, you know, in life or just as far as the rest of the kids in the suburbs usually. But it's from experiences where that usually comes from. And then it's a lot of poverty filled cities are usually those black cities and those big ones, you know, like
Like here in
North
America? Right,
Minneapolis.
right, right, right. And it's to me, it's obviously because of the system. And it all stems from slavery, of course. You know, you start with a nation that, didn't allow black people to even read, you know what I'm saying? So they're already starting at a deficit. That's just one of the little things that set us as a people back, and then, that's there. And then you have just other things that have set us back as a people, like a lot of black people, they don't have parents who own their own businesses, you know what I'm saying? But like white people been doing it for, like, they just do it all day, you
Hmm.
know? Um how do you navigate living here? Just knowing where you came from and knowing what your parents had and the societal status that you guys had. How do you navigate being here
Just
mentally?
now with the status that like we had in the motherland, like it's always been, like I said, people's always like, why did you guys come here? You guys had it all over there. Why don't you guys just stay here? I understand I got more opportunities, and then here I can actually chase those opportunities. You know,
What do you mean when you say that? Because being an American, yeah, there's a lot of things that I take for granted, and I've seen it, but like, what do you mean when you say there's opportunities that you can chase that you cannot, or you know what I'm saying, that you can't do it over there?
see, I realized the power of being a black man once I stepped foot in Iowa. So when I went to school in Iowa, I went to a JUCO in a very white town.
Hmm.
And I mean, right outside my dorm, it was cornfields, you know? And one of the biggest curriculums or one of the biggest sections that they taught was agriculture, right? They even have like another section of that school in the town next door just for
Agriculture.
Yeah, and not just for the agricultures, because they can't have those animals next to the school like that,
Mm-hmm.
because the feed, all of that stuff would just, it's hard having kids come in when it stinks all the time.
Okay.
Yeah. But I realized it once we stepped foot in there, and I loved Nyack. Kind of saved my life. And one of the main things that I loved about that school was, for some reason, a whole bunch of other black kids decided to show up the year that I went. My wrestling team was the first team that I seen that I had a full team of colored, people of color wrestling. It wasn't just we had a couple black kids wrestling. That team was full of black kids. It wasn't just from Minnesota too, because I was from Minnesota wrestling in Iowa. We had a couple kids from Florida, Virginia, Georgia, uh, Cali. We had kids from all over, and those kids were good. They were good.
Mm-hmm.
But being the only black person in an area like that, what it does is it shines the light whether you like it or not.
Mm.
And it's usually up to that person who has that light to either sink or shine in it. And for us, we said, F it. We're gonna go get it. And I wasn't that good of a wrestler or an athlete when I first showed up to that school. But I just watched those guys work that looked it just like me. So I couldn't use the same excuse, right? So I just put my pants on like everybody else, tied my shoes, and got to work just like everybody else. And we scared people like
Mm.
crazy.
Mm.
And we were loud and we were proud and
Mm.
we were annoying. We were arrogant, but we worked hard. But
We were us.
we were us. And we just had fun with it. That was the main thing. Like when you're around other people like you and you fully open up and you have it be fun, black people could do some wild stuff. They could
Mm.
do some real dangerous stuff. And that's why I say I seen the power of a black man there. We were the only black kids that had seen in some years. And we came in, we were loud. We disrupted their calmness and we made them see us, basically. And the light was there. So we just all decided to shine. And that's why I was able to leave in that school with a little bit less debt and, with 2 degrees leaving
Mm.
that school. Yeah,
You use the difference to your advantage.
very much.
The uniqueness about you in a pool of
Mm-hmm.
people who can't relate to you or look like you. You used it to your
Because
advantage.
not all white people are bad. It's just the ones that are looking too much. Some might do want to help you. So take that chance. Put yourself out there too. You know, those opportunities are there for every black kid too. They're harder to reach. But once you're there, please try.
Mm. This is the Man Up Club Presents podcast on Holy Culture Radio, channel 140. Make sure y'all tap in and we'll be right back. We're back on the Man Up Club Presents podcast, and Randry has said a mouthful. I'm definitely feeling what you're saying. You just took me, sorry, when you said, oh, we was just loud and we was just ourselves, like you just took me back to when I was in college and I went to North Central University. Shout out to North Central University. Um, that's the place where I found my best friend. Her name's Dosa, and she is from Congo. Um, Me and that girl's like sisters, and when we get together, it's double trouble. Okay,
Yeah.
and the thing is, like at that school, it was predominantly white. It's a place where most of the college students are like homeschooled. So us coming in there, like you can just imagine, like what you're saying, I can totally relate to because when we would walk down those
Yeah.
hallways, it was like we did not care that people would like look at us and just be like, or whatever, like just like look at us, meet eye contact, and quickly look away because
Mm-hmm.
they're not like exposed to a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't care. We was ourselves, like you said. We was loud. We would be laughing, cracking up, like doing all. And there is power in that unity. You know what I'm saying? So I totally understand what you're saying. Um, okay, but let's get to some of these things that we're talking about when it comes to just the differences though between being African and being African American. Because there are, you know, what is it called? Stigmas or
Mm-hmm.
stipulations. So let's talk about that. Are you down for that?
Oh yeah, come on.
Okay. Okay, so this segment is, do African immigrants judge Black Americans? You know, there's like this tension between Africans and Black Americans. When I was in high school, I really felt it a lot. Like I remember going to high school, um, you know, the Black people would be like, they'd be looking at people like in hijabs and stuff, and they'd be like, "Oh, you African booty scratcher, you African booty
Oh, I
scratcher."
remember
Like,
that.
first
African
of all,
booty
like,
scratcher.
yes, and it's like
Yeah.
I went to school in Louisville, Kentucky,
hmm
Central High School, when it was
Yeah, the
predominantly
African booty
Black.
scratcher is in any state in
Okay,
America.
okay. See, okay, so you heard that too.
Yeah.
And it's like, but the thing is, what I found was when I moved from Kentucky to Minnesota,
hmm
I found that Africans were being celebrated for their culture and being proud of, oh, I'm from Ethiopia. I'm from, Kenya. You know what I'm saying? I'm from Congo. Like, because in Minnesota it's like a melt, like America's already a melting pot, but
hmm
Minnesota's like a melting pot within the bigger melting
Yeah,
pot.
but kids are bullies though, so I
They
definitely got
are.
called African booty scratchers in middle school, elementary, even in high school probably.
So and see, I don't like that about us as Black Americans. It's like, okay, there's this whole, you making fun of like Africans. Like, first of all, like that is such a disgrace. You know what I'm saying? Because it's
hmm
like, first of all, Africa, like you said, it's the motherland. Have some respect. Y'all know where y'all from.
hmm
So did you ever have like a negative outlook on Black Americans? Like, oh, like they, because I don't know. I feel like there's some Africans that think like, oh, they look down on us. Like, I've heard that. Is that true?
It is true to an extent. So it's not just Africans looking down on Black Americans, it's the same way all around. But then again, where are the African Americans getting it from?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else in this country. It's not just the Africans, the African Americans. It's just the Black people here are the only ones with the power to say something. Because imagine a white person going out there calling a African kid African booty scratcher. There you go. You
Well,
know?
right, and we do it
So
because we got that Black pass,
yeah,
but
and Black people are the only people who use like pain and suffering as a joke
yeah.
and turn
Mm-hmm.
it into something else,
Right.
you know? And had I took it the wrong way, I would have broke down every time I got called an African booty scratcher. But I just became everybody else. When somebody calls me African booty scratcher, I'm getting on their ass too. I'm starting to cook them too, you know? I just joined the culture because the Black culture is we make fun of each other to turn it into a joke. But and I didn't realize it was like that until I got to the motherland. I'm like, in the motherland we do the exact same thing.
Oh.
You know, I got made fun of for being Black American, I know, an African American and not African anymore. Once
Mm.
I got to the motherland, so it's
What were I'm curious, what were some of the jokes?
hmm?
What were some of the jokes?
Oh, you're like, oh yeah, look at you, you're American now. You're American. You don't forgot about the culture. You don't forgot everybody at home. And then every 2 minutes is somebody I had met when I was like 2 years old. Don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you don't remember me when I carried you? I'm like, bruh.
Like, oh, you think you too good now?
Mm-hmm.
Like, mm-hmm.
Yeah. All because I don't. It's not that I've accepted this culture. This is where I grew up. I was born in Africa. You know, raised out there too, but I grew up here.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So it's not like I can still be dressing like I dressed when I was 9 years old. So, you know, eventually people gotta grow. But going back to what we were talking about, yeah, Africans are looked down upon. So usually when I talk about where I was from, having a nanny, all of that, people are like, what? You didn't live in a hut? And I'm like, bruh, not all of Africa is actually people living in huts and in the wild. And that's how people look at Africa, as if it's its own freaking planet. Like Africa cannot be a part of the rest of the world. They look at Africa as if
Mm.
it's not where all the richest minerals usually come from, you know?
Come on.
But it's just the way people look at Africa. That's why I'm so glad. I'm happy watching what's happening in Burkina Faso. For the first time, we're having an African nation saying, putting their feet down on the rest of the world, you know, treating the rest of the world how they treat Africa. and but people are not happy.
Mm, that's very interesting. Is there is there more unity or more division between us, Africans and Black
It's
Americans?
because Africa is, it's like I said, it's a very isolated part of the world, and it's not that Africans do it. We were pushed into isolation, so usually what you learn, your most important lessons come from your parents. And out here, your most important lessons you learn in school or at least away from your parents. And in Africa, it's fully reversed. And that's why people are a lot more isolated and they hold on to culture because what they learned is from their parents and where their parents get it from. It's like generation of passed on knowledge and of how you're supposed to act, respect, and but they're not like teaching stuff in books that's gonna better the country, just how you're supposed to grow up as a person.
So are you saying that there's more division, but it's because of what's passed down?
Hmm.
There's more
Yeah,
division between us.
there's more access to education and here than there is out there. So people aren't learning as much out there.
No, Randry. What I'm saying is like I'm talking about mentally. Is there more? Are Africans and Black Americans unified now? More unified, or are they more divided? In your opinion,
I think
these days.
these days I feel like it's a melting pot actually for me. I feel like this is when the division is getting broken down, where everything is colliding, and that's when people are gonna choose either to come together or to break apart. And I don't just mean this in United States. This is happening in Africa too, as you're seeing Ghana done join with Burkina Faso on all of those different things that's going on. But we just needed one person to stand up. And I feel like they're gonna come together within the next 5, 10 years.
You know,
You'll see Africa a lot stronger than you've seen it in the last 50 years, I feel like.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
I hope so.
I'm here for it.
My parents are doing their part in it actually. Cause right now what they're doing, my mom is building malls, hospitals and stuff like that, trying to help the economy in Burundi.
Wow.
While my dad is like building uh apartments, and they're building like apartment styles that you see here in the United States.
Let me ask you something. Because I'm a big family person. How do you deal with being away from your parents? Like they're in a different country. My mom lives in a different state, and that's painful for me. My grandpa lives in a different state, and that's painful for me.
Yeah, can nobody ignore my mom, no matter if you want to. For me, my mom needs to reach me. She go get me. But
It doesn't bother you too much.
no, but that's how my parents raised me, though. I feel like they raised me to go out there and get it done. And that's why I
Wow.
went out and got multiple degrees. But for them, I've watched them like want and yearn for more and more the moment we step foot in Africa, no, in America, because we had a lot. To them, is they were making it. They were getting to that point, and then they sold everything to come here.
Mm-hmm.
So you could they've always had this itch in the back of their neck to just get back to work. So for me, I'm just proud of them for finally going back out there. Yeah, it's hard, especially for me who use my family a lot, especially with my kid and stuff like that. But right now, I'm just happy for them that they're actually doing something that's because usually my mom will always come up with crazy business plans to try to help Burundi out. And this
Wow.
is the first time that I've seen it actually working.
Mm.
And this isn't just working on a big scale of we started a business. No, this is helping the whole entire country's economy. And it's gonna not just build her,
As a
our
woman,
family,
yeah.
it's literally the whole country. Somebody else is gonna be benefiting from this
Mm.
in the long term.
Legacy.
Legacy for sure.
It's legacy,
Hmm.
and you are the epitome of your parents. You know, that yeah, that's beautiful. It's just beautiful to see like how they've grown you as a man to be able to move to another country, and now you're raising your own. You
Yeah.
know, we got to talk about your son too, by the way. Um, because you're a young king out here raising your own young
Yeah.
king. You know, So,
It's gonna
but
be a big one. I call it Project LeBron.
oh, really?
Yeah, it's already huge.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I want to ask one question. Um, we'll dive deeper into the next segment, but we're gonna be thinking about how does culture play into your parenting, like raising your child to have, like, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, okay,
Perfect. I got it.
yeah, because he's born here,
Hmm.
but you got your deep roots.
Yeah, my son is mixed with a lot of things too. He's native African, Cambodian, Puerto Rican, and I think like two more things. And I'm like, bro,
Oh wow.
yeah, he's mixed with all the darker shades of the world.
Oh
Like
wow.
Cambodian is probably like the darkest, Asians, Puerto Ricans too to me.
Got you. Got you. Well, we will get back to it. We will get back to it. But you guys, the Man Up Club, we always pride ourselves in giving young men a platform. If you don't know a lot about the Man Up Club, we're doing a lot, like I said, with the tutoring. Once school starts back up, we'll get back to our tutoring program. Any guys that's in it who earns less than a C, they have to be in tutoring. We care about their mental, we care about their physical. We got the personal trainer, every Friday from 5 to 6. If you want your young man to get into the Man Up Club, make sure that you go to the manupclub.org. Call the number at the top right of the website, y'all. Call us and we will be there to take them in. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, this is Holy Culture Radio with the Man Up Club Presents podcast. We'll be back. We're back on the Man Up Club Presents podcast. We have talked so much about your perspective. We've talked about, where you come from and how you see life and just your grind and what you're doing now. Like I said, you are a coach of 3 different sports: track,
Yeah.
wrestling, and football. You know what I'm saying? So you out here grinding and just being about it. I love that. You're very inspirational. Um, so when it comes to your son, that's your only child, right?
Hmm.
How old is he?
He's 4.
How do you want to culturally, like, how do you even pass all your experiences down to him? How do you raise him with that sense of identity?
So I feel like how I was brought up in this culture, in school and sports, was a lot of like the way I was, especially where we're from. A lot of people are just getting broken down constantly. My sister called this term getting beating somebody down while they're down, like kicking them down while they're already
Oh, well,
down.
they're down. Okay.
Yeah. But like in sports, I was brought up with, where a coach would just yell at you at the beginning, just screaming to try to get that monster out, breaking you down to see what you're truly made out of and stuff like that. And
Mm.
that's like the culture and that's how people like were brought up. Like your authority figures, you usually hate, even though you just respect them, like you hate. And that's like when it comes to parenting, that's the one thing or coaching that I don't want.
You don't want to pass that to your son.
Yeah, I don't want to pass that part on. I want to end the generational trauma like right now, not wait until my son can do better. Let
Mm.
me make sure he doesn't go through what I went through. That's
Mm.
usually my main focus is because my parents did moved 10 kids all at once. Didn't speak a lick of English. I knew water.
You knew the word
I
water.
knew the word water, but they made sure we didn't have to go through what they went through. And I'm just passing that on as I go.
So you don't want to be that, like, you don't want to be super hard on the, like the tough parenting.
Hmm.
You want to show that love to your
Hmm.
son.
I want to show them that love, not just show it to them, but like give them everything despite. I want to fight for my future the same way I see all of these parents in the suburbs do, as well as fighting for my son. One thing that I've seen that's different from, the suburbs and the kids in the
The inner
hood,
city, yeah.
the inner city kids, it's usually like, I like sports events. No matter what mom and dad got, they're going to get off early. Granted, they usually have better jobs than, this inner city parents. uh, they still make it to those events. After 5, mom and dad are busting their butts to make it to that afternoon event. Even though my dad was busting his butt with 10 kids to go to the next job to work, you know, I missed that human connection. So for me, when I'm raising my kid, as soon as he gets off of school and I can't, I don't have somebody to watch him for those 2 hours, or if, for those 2 hours, if I could come home and put him to sleep. But if I have something to do, I'm going to grab him to school early, and he's coming with me.
Mm.
Period. You know, regardless what I have to do that day, I'll figure it out with my son next to me, right? And it's usually weird them seeing a young black man with a kid,
Mm-hmm.
and my son's crazy. My son's wild. He has a lot of energy. He can't sit down. Like he's always running around. Like if I had him here, 2 minutes later he'd be probably typing on your computer, something, you know? Like he's that.
He brings that presence when he's
Hmm.
in the room.
But regardless of what I'm doing, my son is doing one of my, because I coach a lot, like you said. He's usually at every event with me. Football, it's different because he can't really be on the sideline, or just in case a kid runs past you know, he can't be, because those kids are a lot bigger. Track, he's usually there. Wrestling, he's always there.
I love the fact that you keep your son in your back pocket. But you're so right, unfortunately, when you say that a lot of, like you said, if you're a young black man, it's not normal to have your child with you like that.
Hmm.
Does that how do you feel about that?
Um,
Does that piss you off? Does that make you really upset? Like, will you be shaking your head at it? Like, what's
no. So in like I said, in college, we were a pretty cool team. We were like the number 7 team in the nation when I first came in through. And I only made it to state in wrestling one time. I wasn't a state champ like most of my guys. I remember the first day of practice, they were like, how many what did you do in wrestling? And I had 6 guys. And I'm like, I made it to state. No, before they got to me, they're like, yeah, I'm a 3-time state champ, or 3-time state finalist. I'm a national finalist, 4-time state finalist, 3-time state champ. And I'm like, I only made it to state one time. So to them, I was already down and stuff like that. But bringing that in, when I was having a kid, everybody heard, right? Everybody ran their mouths as they naturally do. And my coaches told me, no, there's no way you're quitting school. And I was like, coach, like, how am I do school and raise a kid at the same time from 2 different states? And my coach was like, we'll help you with school. Just get your degree because your son's going to need something. That's
mm,
why I went out and got the easiest degree that I could get at first,
which is
my coaching degree. I was like, I can get this coaching degree right now, and I can, so that I didn't just waste my money for no reason.
mm-hmm.
I went back. My coaches actually helped me finish out the year debt free that year, as long as I worked for it. And I was working like 2 jobs to try to pay off school that year. And then also send money to his mom and stuff like that for diapers and stuff.
So you
But
and thus you a single black father.
in college. And then
And
this one kid, this one time, made the mistake of he didn't call me a deadbeat. He said he was in my weight class actually. The rest of the guys, he was the only one who was like a one-time state finalist. He wasn't like a state champ. But he was also the only white kid in like about only in the weight classes that I could compete at,
yeah.
you know? So he was the one that I talked to the least,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And he made the mistake of basically calling me a deadbeat.
Mm.
And I don't know if he did it on purpose. No, he did. Because I did this little cool move. I was faster. So I did a move on him and I caught him. And it pissed him off. And at the end of practice, he made a joke in front of everybody. He was like, what are you doing here? Ain't you supposed to be with your son? In front of everybody. And everybody was like,
What?
ooh. And I was like, oh, yeah.
Oh,
I'm
I
finna
had
whoop
to.
your ass. And I did it to him. And it became this big old rivalry in the middle of practice. He's the number 9 kid in the nation. I'm not on that lineup. I'm just in practice. I was on that lineup for track. because that's what I went to school for. But he said that, I was like, oh yeah, it's time to come get you. And my coach was like, you go let him say that? And I was trying to just fight with my hands. That's what I knew. And my coach was like, just show him how fast you really are. And my other coach, who's black, who's a light skinned dude, comes in and is like, you gonna let him say that to you as a black man?
Mm.
Especially in this time? I said, you're right. He said, just show him what you're made out of. That's all he said. And my coach was like, never forget you're black. Never forget you're black. And he always said that stuff, even though we had a team full of black kids. It wasn't like it made anything different. It was just the moment we went out of that school, to other schools, we seen how white those other teams truly were. So in that culture, one thing that my coach always made sure that I remember was, you're a black man in a white sport. Take advantage of it. They're looking at you. Do something about it. So then,
Wait, hold on. Let me pause. You kind of like how people look at Eminem.
yeah.
He a white man in a
Mm-hmm.
black man sport.
Yeah.
You feel me? You better do dang good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then every time he does good, guess what? No matter how many haters he has, everybody still pays attention, regardless. So that was like one of the main things that I kind of took away, was just build that black person up. So same thing for my son. I'm just build him up as he is, and I'm gonna build me up as I am. Trying to hide that I have a kid didn't do well for me.
You
You
tried
know,
to hide at one point?
no, it wasn't even like that. I tried to hide. It was more like I was going through a lot with his mom, so I never mentioned her and stuff like that. So because to this day, people don't know what she looks like, because she dropped him off when he was about 5 months, and me and my family been cooking, watching them, raising them by ourselves
Wait,
since.
what? So she just kind of dropped. So she had him and then left him?
My son had a lot of problems when he was born. He was born 2 months early, so he was in an incubation for about 2.5 months.
Wow, the NICU.
Yeah, in a breathing tube with a feeding tube and all of that stuff too. He was pretty bad. So he had a lot of health problems growing up, and he was constantly sick.
Oh my God.
It was a lot for her. So she dropped him off, and I was like, all right, that way I can breathe, I can breathe. So when people like that dude who called me a deadbeat that time, I'm like, oh, the year after, when he was like, people were like, oh, did you hear? He's the single father now. People would tell him, and he was like laughing because he knew exactly what he did. Because I ended up kicking him off the team, not just kicking him off. I kicked him off the lineup, and then he started doing too much, and he ended up having to get kicked off the team. And he was the number 9 kid in the nation, you know. And when people say it's a joke to him, for me being the deadbeat, but that moment it ignited a fire in me, because I needed to prove, not to just prove him wrong, I needed to prove myself right, that I can do this, and I can do exactly what everybody else does that's not this skin color.
Mm. Yeah, and that that's a great thought to leave off on. It's like, because I'm listening with my wisdom ears to your story, and it's like, black man, when they doubt you, prove them wrong. But not just them, it's really for yourself as
Hmm.
well. Like, just be great.
Don't be that category,
Don't be the stereotype.
Yeah. Transcend. That was one of my biggest words. I think it was my freshman year before I had a kid, actually. It was like, transcend from this moment on.
Mm.
Yeah.
Any last words for just young men who can relate to your story, who may be also single fathers or just be out here trying to make it, or what's an encouragement you could leave them with?
For me, it was start trying, and start trying today. Because usually the scariest moment that people go through is, no matter what they got going on, is how I'm going to do this. How am I going to do this? The hardest thing is to start trying it. And then when those opportunities, like I said, when they present themselves, put your foot in it and try. We don't get those moments often. And if you have a huge opportunity, even though you've never done you've never been in that situation, or you've don't know what you're doing, somebody can teach you. But as long as you're in it and you're trying to better yourself, somebody will see you.
This has been the Man Up Club Presents podcast. Thank you so much, Randry, for being a part of this opportunity in this show. Thank you for coming.
Yes, yes.
Yes, de nada. Okay, you guys tune in for another episode on Holy Culture every single Thursday. We are here. We out.